Cowabunga dudes and dudettes, this is Anthony, aka Batbomb82, and today I'll be doing my 202nd Mezco Toyz 112 Collective action figure review, this time being of the Amazing Spider-Man. Now, taking a look at the front, we can see some great vintage like comic book art and comic book panels showcasing Spider-Man himself on both the front and back side. So with the box out of the way, let's go ahead and crack this figure open and let him breathe. Alright guys, now let's take a closer look at the Amazing Spider-Man. Now this is Mezco's newest take to the Spider-Man figure. You know, we have received a Spider-Man way back in the day, early on in this line, and for the time I really did enjoy. This is almost a redo, kinda. This is more of a classic comic book, almost like Silver Age type of Spider-Man, which is really cool. I'm glad that they did this with a lot of upgrades and things like that, and I'll compare things shortly. But the figure itself looks really good. First of all, the colors are like perfect. I love that bright red and that bright blue, just very saturated colors. Looks really nice to me. All the cobwebbing throughout the suit, I think it looks really nice. Again, good shots of that. There you go. The cobwebbing looks amazing, man. That was not a pun, I swear to God. But again, simple suit. You know, if you know the Spider-Man suit, you know what to expect. The boots look really nice as well. And the cobwebbing is sculpted on the actual plastic parts, where this is all just kind of like printed on the actual fabric suit. But with no tread or anything like that on the feet, but we do get peg holes. And again, it looks really nice. I love the spider logo on the chest there. I do love the eyes and the head sculpts and things like that. Again, very classic. I love how like the black around the eye is more polished, you know what I mean, compared to the red of the suit. And then you get that classic Spider-Man logo on the back. You know, nothing crazy, nothing too dynamic, nothing really Mezco-fied. You know, this is meant to be a very traditional classic Spider-Man, which is cool. And if that's something you're looking for, I think you would like this a lot. Now, just to bring in that first Spider-Man figure that we received from Mezco, this is the first one that ever came out in the line. You can see the colors are dramatically different. This is very much of a darker type of suit. You got more of a modern type logo. Same thing for the front and back, you know. And I could even tell just by the fabric and the soft goods alone in the newer one is a lot better. Why am I rubbing his crotch here? That's just weird, right? But this, you can just tell it's a definite upgrade from this one over here. And you can see the head sculpts. I think this is a lot more like appropriately shaped of a head, where this is very much more rounded and things like that. And again, it's a different style, but again, I just think this newer one looks a lot better. And then I could tell where in the old one, if you could kind of see here, the gloves kind of curve up and then this carries on to kind of blend in with the cobweb pattern, where on the newer one, it's just cut off right there at the glove. So that's different too. You know, and I think I do prefer the seam line right here that kind of goes under the belt, where it's over the belt. So that kind of looks a little harsh. I do prefer the older one of that. I think the stitching looks a little bit better, but that could also be due to the fabric. But so I just kind of wish they had stitched that a little bit differently. But it still looks good, man. I still really like this one. And you'll see some size comparisons later, where this new one actually is taller. So this is definitely more like an adult Peter Parker. This is definitely a younger Peter Parker, but still very cool. Now, taking a look at the accessories, we of course do get the Mezco circular base stand, and this is a really nice vibrant stand. It says the Amazing Spider-Man, that classic font, which just looks so good. And then we of course do get the clear articulated arm. We also do get a ridiculous amount of interchangeable hands. It's kind of crazy. I mean, we're talking Gomez amount of hands, which is just nuts. I mean, you get everything you're going to need, from wall crawling hands, punching hands, web slinging hands, web swinging hands. I mean, just whipping hands, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty impressive to see. But I also really do like, we get a ton of different like web effects here. You'll see like you have this one that has almost like a lasso attached to it. And then these will connect by taking off a hand. And then you're going to kind of slide them onto the wrist peg like so, and then peg the hand back on. This is just for a quick example. I'm not going to interchange all the different hands and things like that, but you kind of see what I'm saying. And you can straighten them out a little bit better. There is a little bit of a cutout in some of the other hands where this could be a little more straightened, but that's really cool. You know, we've seen similar things like this, different lengths of like flipping hands and things like that. Those are really nice as well. You got webs that are on a bendy wire, so you can pose these around and do all kinds of fun stuff, so that's really cool as well. But this right here is going to be really cool. I love things like this. We get a web backpack. I think this is a lot of fun because, first of all, I love the color that they're using for the webs. This very pearlescent type of white. I think that's very, very cool. So you can just really just take the arms and like pull these back if I have that the right way and kind of just fit it over the figure like that. And I think that looks really, really good, man. I love that they included that in this set. We also got this really crazy like web face, like when he's shooting the webs in the face of a bad guy and he's trying to stop crime and things like that. That's really cool. I believe we've seen this before as well. But probably the most interesting one, we actually got a web parachute, which is nuts. That's going to be for this one right here. You can see how this kind of just like hooks on to that like that, and then going to come over here and hook these on like so, kind of like that. And how you're going to kind of do it, let me go ahead and take this off because this guy just comes with so much crazy stuff. It's actually a lot of fun, even though, again, I'm not super big into the classic type of look for this guy, but I still enjoy it quite a bit. And just seeing all the crazy, goofy things that he came with, because you're supposed to kind of like almost like sit on it kind of thing, and then pose some hands on there, kind of like that's how the instructions kind of show it, like he's kind of gliding from there. That's a lot of fun. I will never pose it on the shelf like this, but I think it's really cool and just shows all the crazy goofy stuff that they used to do with comic books. You know what I mean? I'm a Batman fan. I know all the crazy and weird gadgets that Batman had back in the day, so stuff like this just does not surprise me. It is pretty goofy yet really awesome, and the sculpt of that is just incredible. Again, that pearlescent white looks so awesome. I love how that looks. Very impressive looking piece. But we also do get a web shield so he can get his Captain America on. You can just slide the arm through that. That's really nice as well. Again, done in that pearlescent white. And the sculpting on these web effects is super impressive. As far as web effects go, I really think Mezco does the best ones. I can't really think of any others that do better. These just look really nice and clean. Now, we actually do get a second base, and that's all this really is. It's not a stand, it's just like a rubbery base. I mean, you can see how kind of a softer material this is. It's very pliable, and the sculpt is that is very cool. It's kind of meant for you to just like pose your Spider-Man, like kind of like standing on it or like wall crawling on it kind of thing, like you would see on their like vintage comic book covers and stuff like that. It's really cool. I do like it. I don't know if I'll use it, but it's really fun to display. Maybe you can figure out some way to display that behind him and things like that. No peg holes or anything because of this is just a softer like rubbery type of material, but it's pretty cool. Now, we also do get a Spidey Sense thing, and I'm going to show you how this contraption works if you guys don't know. So this is the Spidey Sense effect piece right here. It looks pretty cool, just done the squiggly black lines to give them that effect. It also comes with this extra attachment that you're going to slide over the arm piece like that, and then you're going to plug this into the base, and it connects like that, and you can position it however you want. Now, what that's meant to do is you're supposed to like kind of like pose the figure in the arm like that, and then kind of get this pose in a way, you know, to kind of look it's behind his head and appearing like that. That's really what you're supposed to do with it. That's a lot in my opinion. I wish they would have figured out a better way to do that. I kind of don't really like that because that's a lot of contraptions just to add the Spidey Sense. It's cool, I do like it, but that's just a little too much work to do and just for a very little effect, you know what I mean? So in my opinion, they could have done a lot better. Now, some other fun accessories are going to be things like the camera here. That's really cool. It does have a little strap that you have to plug in separately. That's really nice, small little detailed camera. I mean, you can see how tiny this thing is. I love when we get accessories like that. What's really cool is we actually do get an extra strap, I guess, in case you break this one. So you do have a backup strap for that. That's really nice. But then we get all these little spider tracers, little tracking things. I mean, you can see how tiny these guys are. I almost don't want to hold one with my bare hands on camera here, just in fear of how I'm going to drop one and lose one. But they are tiny, tiny little spiders, which is a lot of fun. And then we also do get this spider, what's called a tracer or tracker or something like a spider tracker, I guess, to track those tracers. You know what I mean? But again, you can see it's so hard for me to hold these things, man, in my huge giant Sasquatch fingers. But that's a really fun little accessory as well. Again, I don't know if I'll display him with any of this type of stuff, but it's fun to take pictures and pose around and things like that. We also do get a mask that's just kind of hanging. So if you want to put on the Peter Parker head, which I'll show here shortly, you can just pop this in the hand like he's just holding his mask as a separate accessory. One of my favorite things here is definitely to be a newspaper. For those of you kids who don't know what a newspaper is, this is how we got our news before Facebook and Instagram and TikToks and all the things like that. It is really cool. It is the Daily Bugle. You can see Spider-Man's identity still a mystery. And then I'm going to try and zoom in here to see. That's probably a little too much, right? And see if I can pick up any of this stuff. And that is, my camera won't even focus on how little that stuff is. But oh my god, but it's pretty cool. Is that Vision right there? I really can't even tell. My camera will just not. That's about pretty good right there. Oh, Banner, Gamma experiments at critical stage. I cannot read any of that stuff. Flip that around to the other side. This looks like a picture of Spider-Man punching somebody out. But that's really cool, dude. I dig the fact that we got the newspaper, the Daily Bugle, which he works for, as an accessory. That's a really, really fun piece. Now, the last accessories I'm going to show you here are going to be the interchangeable heads, because he does come with quite a good amount. So, of course, we see the standard head with the eyes a little more squinted and really thick black lines around that. We do get more wider open eyes with the larger white in the center of the eyes, which looks really good. So I might go with that one. I think that one just looks more classic in my personal opinion. But we also do get a split mast head, which is half Spider-Man, half Peter Parker. Again, that's very vintage comic book stuff. I'll never display him with that, but I do like it, again, for taking pictures. And again, if you want to take some of that more classic stuff, I think that works out pretty good. We also do get a Peter Parker head, which is a lot of fun as well. I actually think that looks really nice, so I'm going to go ahead and pop this one off right here. I'm going to put on that Peter Parker head like that, because this guy actually does come with his own set of glasses that you could pop on right there. I think that looks pretty good. That is a very dorky Peter Parker, which is how he should be, in my opinion, with those giant fish-eyed lens bottle cap glasses, or whatever you want to call those. That looks funny, dude, and it works. I think that's totally the character. Really interesting. I do wish they came with more glasses. You only get one pair of the glasses, so if you lose those or you break them, you're kind of SOL. But again, they do look really, really good. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this off right here, because the last head we do get is this one right here. Now, you do get this little tool. There is a little thing you can pull out. You pull out by the neck peg like that, and then just be very tricky. It could be kind of a pain in the butt to pull that thing out for the first time, but you're going to take that little tool and you're going to flip on the little switch right there, because you do install some little button cell LED batteries, or LED batteries. You do install some button cell batteries for an LED feature, and that is for the eyes to light up, which again, you can't really see, but if I darken up my camera here, you can probably see it a little better. Or if I just turn off some lights, you can see how that looks in the dark, and I think it looks pretty cool. I do like it, and I like it quite a bit, and I know what they're going for. I'm not sure if I needed it for this figure, and it doesn't really hinder articulation all that much, honestly. They figured out a way to still maintain the articulation and give us that LED feature. You know, those of us that have been collecting Mezco for a long time, you know how those LED features could hinder articulation pretty severely. I'm looking at characters like Cyclops and things like that. So since they came out with this inner working here in the head, it actually helps out quite a bit. So do I like the LED feature? Yeah, I think it's cool. Do I need it? Not really. It's give or take with me, but I still think it's really fun. Now let's go ahead and break down the articulation. This is Spider-Man, so he should be fairly dynamic. So let's see what we got here. The head and the neck are on ball pegs. The base of the neck doesn't roll around that much. By the top of the head, you got a lot of good motion right there. Does look up pretty far. That's pretty good. Down about that much. I wish there was a little more motion at the bottom of the neck there. Pivot side to side, turn left and right. Arms go all the way up, down, up and out that far. That's pretty nice. There seems to be a tiny bit of a butterfly joint in there, so that's really good. Rotation at the bicep. We got double jointed elbows right there. Rotation at the wrist, as well as a hinge at the wrist. We do got, it seems to be a double ball peg in the midsection, so that rolls around very nicely. Does turn left and right, pivot side to side, crunches back and forth very nicely. Hips that kick forward and up that far. Back not so much. splits all the way out. That's actually really, really good for a Mezco figure. That's really nice. Rotation of the upper thigh, double jointed knees where he can kick himself in his own butt. Nothing really at the boot, but we do get ball pegs at the ankle, so those rotate up and down very nicely. That's actually a lot better than I assumed. And damn, some of the best ankle rocker that I've seen on a Mezco. That's actually really, really good. You know, nothing to like Marvel Legends or anything like that or other imports, but that's actually surprisingly good for a Mezco. So I think the articulation is actually pretty good on this guy. Now again, if you're looking for some crazy, hyper dynamic, more modern Spider-Man figure, that's not what this is. This genuinely feels like a more modern Mego. And I know not everybody's into Mego, figures from back then, but this feels like a very much an upgrade of those. And if you just love that classic, just vintage, awesome Spider-Man, I think this is one to definitely pick up. So for a quick size comparison, here is Spidey standing next to a Marvel Legends Deadpool and Mafex Batman figure. Also for comparison, here he is standing next to a couple other Mezco Spider-Man figures. And for even more Spidey comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends and Medicom Mafex Spider-Man. And for some villain comparison, here he is standing next to some Marvel Legends Rhino, Doc Ock, Sandman, and Venom. And just for fun, here he is with little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of the Amazing Spider-Man. Now honestly, if you don't want that old school classic comic book like look, again a very updated version of like a Mego figure, you're probably not going to like this piece. But if you like what Mezco does, the soft goods are fantastic. I will say that leaving a figure like this in a very dynamic pose for a long time might not be good on that printed vinyl, so just forewarning you guys with that. But the articulation does work very, very well, especially for a Spider-Man figure. That's what I was hoping, and this does seem to be pretty dynamic, especially for Mezco. You get all kinds of interchangeable hands, which is pretty amazing to see. I love all the different types of web effects, especially for some reason that parachute effect. I think that's hilarious and awesome and goofy, and I love that we even have stuff like that, even things like the web shield. All that stuff is a lot of fun, given all the different types of interchangeable heads, like the Peter Parker head, the split mast head, the light up LED feature head, which again, I could have done without, but it's still cool that they included it. The camera, all this kind of stuff is just a lot of fun. He comes packed with all kinds of stuff, and that really makes me feel like we get a good value out of this figure. I think he's a fun Spider-Man, and I think he is definitely a must-get. So be excellent to each other, and stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.